Refuge in the Three Jewels. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and of love. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community that lives in harmony and awareness. Dwelling in the refuge of Buddha, I clearly see the path of light and beauty in the world. Dwelling in the refuge of Dharma, I learn to open many doors on the path of transformation. Dwelling in the refuge of Sangha, shining light that supports me, keeping my practice free from obstruction. Taking refuge in the Buddha and myself, I aspire to help all people recognize their own awakened nature, realizing the mind of love. Taking refuge in Dharma and myself, I aspire to help all people fully master the ways of practice and walk together on the path of liberation. Dwelling in the refuge in the Sangha and myself, I aspire to help all people build fourfold communities to embrace all beings and support their transformation. Offering of flowers. This spread of flowers, fresh hued and fragrant, I offer at this sacred lotus feet of the noble sage, with flowers in great variety, the Buddha I adore. By this merit may I gain release. Even as these flowers must fade, my body too will pass away. Offering of light, with lights brightly shining, dispelling the gloom, I honor the fully awakened, the light of the triple world, who dispels the gloom of ignorance. Offering of incense, perfumed with infinite qualities, the Tathagata, fragrant of face and form, I revere with incense, sweet and penetrating. Offering of water. We offer water, symbol of purity, to the Buddhas of all times. May this water both wash away the obscurations of ignorance and sate the thirst of craving and aversion. Notes on mindful breathing. Anapadisati is mindfulness on respiration. Ana means inhalation, anapada means exhalation. Concentration on the breathing process leads to one-pointedness of the mind and ultimately to insight, which enables one to attain liberation, freedom, and perfection. The Buddha practiced concentration on respiration before he attained enlightenment, but this beneficial meditation may be practiced by any person irrespective of religious beliefs. We will inhale through the nostrils normally, without strain, without force. While doing so, the mind may wander, but one should not be discouraged. When a wandering thought is detected, label it as thinking and return to the breath. Formal meditation practice. Breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. Being in the body, inhabiting the body, feeling the sensations of being in the body, hearing the sounds outside. In the distance, someone is mowing the grass. in the distance, birds chirping in the distance, dogs barking. I am here in this moment. There's the smell of incense burning. There's the sound of my own breath. There is no past, there is no future. There is only presence. We'll read from the book Radical Acceptance by Tara Brach. Short reading. Tara Brach says, something is wrong with me. When I was in college, I went off to the mountains for the weekend for some hiking with an older, wiser friend. After we set up our tent, we sat by a stream, watching the water whirl around rocks and talking about our lives. At one point, she described how she was learning to be her own best friend. A huge wave of sadness came over me, and I broke down sobbing. I was the furthest thing from my own best friend. I was continually harassed by an inner judge who was merciless, relentless, nitpicking, driving, often invisible, but always on the job. I knew I would never treat a friend that way, the way I treated myself, without mercy or kindness. My guiding assumption was something is fundamentally wrong with me, and I struggled to control and fix what I felt like a basically flawed self. I drove myself into academics, was fervently political, and I was an activist. I devoted myself to a full-time social life. I avoided pain and created more with an addiction to food and a preoccupation with achievement. My pursuit of pleasure was sometimes wholesome, in nature with friends, but it also included an impulsive kind of thrill-seeking through recreational drugs, sex, and other adventures. In the eyes of the world, I was highly functional. Internally, I was anxious, driven, and often depressed. I didn't feel at peace with any part of my life. Feeling not okay went hand in hand with my deep loneliness. In my early teens, I sometimes imagined that I was living inside a transparent orb that separated me from other people and the life around me. When I felt good about myself and at ease with others, the bubble thinned until it was like an invisible wisp of gas. But when I felt bad about myself, the walls got so thick it seemed others must be able to see it. Imprisoned within, I felt hollow and achingly alone. The fantasy faded somewhat as I got older, but I lived with the fear of letting someone down or being rejected myself. With my college friend, it was different. I trusted her enough to be completely open. Over the next 2 days of hiking on the high mountain ridges, sometimes talking with her, sometimes sitting in silence, I began to realize that beneath all my mood swings, depression, loneliness, addictive behavior, lurked the feeling of a deep personal deficiency. I was getting my first glimpse into a core of suffering that I would revisit again and again in my life. While I felt exposed and raw, I intuitively knew that by facing this pain, I was entering a path of healing. As we drove down from the mountains that Sunday night, my heart was lighter, but still aching. I longed to be kinder to myself. I longed to befriend my inner experience and to feel more intimacy and ease with people in my life. Then some years later, these longings drew me to Buddhism. I found there the teachings and practice that enabled me to directly face my feelings of unworthiness and insecurity. They gave me a way of seeing clearly what I was experiencing and showed me how to relate to my life with compassion. The teachings of the Buddha also helped undo my painful and mistaken notion that I was alone in my suffering, that it was a personal problem and somehow my fault. Over the next 20 years as a psychologist and a Buddhist teacher, I've worked with thousands of clients and students who have revealed how painfully burdened they feel by a sense of not being good enough. Whether our conversations take place in the middle of a 10-day meditation retreat or during a weekly therapy session, the suffering, the fear of being flawed and unworthy is basically the same. So for many of us, feelings of deficiency are right around the corner. It doesn't take much. Just hearing of someone else's accomplishments, being criticized, getting into an argument, making a mistake at work, to make us feel that we are not okay. As a friend of mine put it, feeling that something is wrong with me is the invisible and toxic gas that I am always breathing. When we experience our lives through the lens of personal deficiency, we are imprisoned in what I call the trance of unworthiness. Trapped in this trance, we are unable to perceive the truth of who we really are. Contemplation on the 10 perfecting qualities. May I be generous and helpful. May I be pure, virtuous, and well-disciplined. May I not be selfish. May I be strenuous, energetic, and persevering. May I be patient. May I be able to bear and forbear the wrongs of others. May I be honest and truthful. May I be firm and resolute. May I be kind, compassionate, and friendly. May I be humble, calm, quiet, unruffled, and serene. Discourse on loving kindness. Just as a mother would protect her only child even at her own life's risk, so let everyone cultivate a boundless heart towards all beings. Let our hearts of boundless love pervade the whole world, so that all beings without exception might be happy. Closing dedication of merit. If I have attained any merit by the result of this practice, may it be accredited to all beings everywhere. May they find the source of suffering and extinguish it. May they find the source of happiness and increase it. May all beings dwell in ultimate unalloyed nibbana.